What if I told you the future of America's economy could be crippled by a single raw material?
And that in the last 72 hours, the world's largest industrial juggernaut, China, just weaponized it, sending $300 billion worth of US markets into freefall.
This isn't speculation. This is happening right now. The global copper strike has begun, and the United States is in the crosshairs. At the center of this geopolitical showdown are two titanic forces: the United States, clinging to its economic supremacy, and China, orchestrating a brutal counteroffensive in the escalating trade war. This isn't a clash over tariffs on cheap consumer goods anymore. This is a high-stakes battle for industrial survival and the weapon. Copper, the unsung hero of modern civilization. From electric vehicles to missile systems, smartphones to power grids, copper is the metal that keeps the modern world running. And now, China has slammed the door shut, with a nationwide copper export restriction that's already throttling global supply chains. In just 48 hours, the fallout has been staggering. Global copper prices surged 34%, hitting their highest level since the 2011 commodities boom. The S&P 500 lost $240 billion in value overnight, dragged down by plunging tech, automotive, and defense stocks. In Detroit, automakers like Ford and GM are halting production lines, citing critical copper shortages. In Silicon Valley, chipmakers Nvidia and Intel are facing immediate supply chain shocks, while Tesla shares tumbled 19%, wiping out $80 billion in market value in a single trading session. Even defense giants like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon are scrambling, unable to secure key components for weapon systems dependent on copper wiring and circuits. This isn't just an economic tremor, it's a tectonic market collapse. And the human cost? Thousands of factory workers in Texas, Ohio, and California are facing sudden furloughs as production lines grind to a halt. Shipping ports are clogged, with freight containers rerouted or stranded, sparking widespread job losses across logistics hubs. Construction companies are suspending projects, citing unprecedented copper shortages, meaning housing markets are next in line to feel the squeeze. And experts warn American consumers could soon see price surges of up to 35% on electronics, home appliances, and automobiles within weeks. This is no longer about Wall Street panic, it's about Main Street survival. Here's where the story takes an even more shocking turn. This copper ambush wasn't random, it was strategically planned. According to leaked intelligence reports from the EU, China has been quietly stockpiling copper reserves since early 2023, hoarding over 3.2 million metric tons while accelerating domestic mining operations. While the Biden administration escalated tariffs on Chinese tech exports, Beijing laid a silent economic trap, weaponizing raw materials, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And now, it's too late. But it gets worse. Allies that Washington assumed were on its side are shifting their loyalties. In a stunning diplomatic pivot, Saudi Arabia announced it will sign a copper for oil exchange pact with China, providing Beijing preferential access to energy in exchange for industrial metals. Mexico, America's largest trading partner, has reportedly opened copper exports directly to Chinese markets, while limiting supply to U.S. manufacturers in retaliation for recent tariff disputes. And in Europe, Germany and France are reconsidering cooperation with U.S. sanctions after massive industrial supply chain risks emerged overnight. In short, Washington isn't just losing a trade war, it's losing allies. Leaked memos from the U.S. Department of Commerce paint a grim picture. One official described the crisis as a copper chokehold on American industry, warning of irreversible damage to U.S. manufacturing competitiveness. At the Pentagon, insiders admit critical delays in advanced weapon systems are now inevitable. Even in Wall Street boardrooms, CEOs are issuing frantic midnight calls to Treasury officials, demanding emergency diplomatic de-escalation. But so far, Beijing isn't blinking. Why is China doing this now? Geopolitical analysts are calling it a strategic counterpunch. For years, the West leveraged financial sanctions to punish China. Now, China is flipping the playbook, weaponizing its dominance over critical supply chains, particularly in raw materials crucial for green energy, AI, and defense technologies. And it's not just copper. China controls 63% of global rare earth production, 56% of lithium processing, and is aggressively cornering the cobalt and nickel markets. Copper was just the first shot, the beginning of a much bigger strategy to exert economic pressure without firing a single bullet. And the consequences are snowballing. U.S. infrastructure projects funded under the Inflation Reduction Act are now at risk of grinding to a halt. The EV boom once.